The East Indonesian province of Maluku is a collection of islands once known as the Spice Islands. It is a place of incredible natural beauty.
Meski Maluku hancur, lebur jadi debu.
This region was visited by Dutch missionaries in the late 1800s, and as a result, Christianity was adopted by many of its inhabitants. Despite there already being a Muslim presence in Maluku, the two communities lived together in peace, having forged a covenant of brotherhood. But during the 80s and 90s, a policy of transmigration resulted in an influx of Muslims into the Maluku province, and local tensions between different groups began to emerge. These tensions were manipulated by Islamic extremists who were preparing to launch jihad, or holy war, against the mostly Christian population.
In a sense, a normal day-to-day conflict between Muslim and Christian communities were used by outside provocateurs to create a full-scale conflict within Ambon.
In January 1999, Ambon, the birthplace of Christianity in Indonesia, saw a simple traffic dispute become the trigger for an attack that its people will never forget.
Ambon City had a population of 300,000 people, about the same size as Canberra. So as said before, it was a large, prosperous city. Now, I'd estimate at least half of the city is completely destroyed. The central business district is all destroyed. Schools, churches, all destroyed, all gone. It's had a dreadful impact on people.
The conflict gained pace when in January 2000 the Islamic militant force, Laskar Jihad, started registering members across Indonesia to come and fight as holy warriors in the Holy War.
The Laskar Jihad, who have caused and continue to cause so much trouble in the Maluku Islands and now other parts of Indonesia, are basically made up of young men from Java and from Sulawesi, young Muslim men who have been recruited by an organisation that clearly has very close links with activities in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. The leader of the Jihad organisation has fought with the Taliban and, from my understanding, has met Osama bin Laden, so there are clearly close contacts there.
Any chance of containing the conflict was lost, as jihad terrorists went from Christian village to Christian village throughout Maluku, destroying churches, burning down homes, and killing as many people as possible.
In the Maluku Islands, which is a chain of some 1,000 islands, almost every populated island has been attacked. Some 6,000 to 7,000 Christians have been killed, and in excess of 40,000 homes have been destroyed.
It's a most brutal attack on the Christian church, and one wonders why. It only simply seems to me that there are outside elements who clearly have an agenda to wipe Christianity out of Eastern Indonesia and to create absolute havoc within that community.
Those who survived fled into the jungles or went to neighbouring villages. Thousands fled the province by boat. Over 500,000 people in total were displaced, fleeing to other regions. Many of these went to places like Manado in North Sulawesi, where 47,000 Christians sought refuge.
These people are from the village of Duma. He was attacked with a machete knife and he was cut here on his hand. Ini jari bisa bergerak. So he has lost movement in his fingers. And he also has a wound on the back of his head. a woman here. These are from shrapnel wounds. As they were trying to escape, they were being bombed by the jihad warriors, and she was injured. Apa masuk keluar masuk di sini, dan di sini. He was shot. It came through here, came out through here, into his arm there, and out through over here. We see on the screen the picture of Sultarsi, a woman who was brutally attacked by Indonesian military and jihad warriors in June of 2000. This is after the operation, but she could only be fed through her nose because with her jawbone being, or her cheekbone being blown out, she could no longer move her mouth.
IFC Australia has been able to facilitate short mission trips for Australians to work amongst these refugees.
It's just amazing. We just went to see the orphans. They sang us a song, and then some of the parents sang us a song as well. We got up and did a drama, and then we just prayed, and it was just amazing. It was just so good to know how much us being here means to these people, and also to get sort of a real experience of how they might be feeling and how much grief they have.
It is in the refugee camps of Manado that the experiences of these new refugees have been expressed in different ways. The children, many of whom are now orphans, have drawn scenes of their experiences. Songwriting and singing is also playing an important part in the healing process. The music of the Malukan people had caught the attention of Pastor Ian Freestone, who had led some of the ministry trips from Australia.
In Australia, where we enjoy so much freedom in our faith and in our worship, it's hard to imagine that just across our borders is a place where it's very hard for Christians to worship freely. In Eastern Indonesia, we've seen many people killed and many flee to refugee centres. I've been able to go with teams of Australians and go across to these places and sit among these people and hear their stories and share their tears and hear their grief and feel their heart. And not only in the words that they've said, but also in the songs that they sing. The people of Maluku are famous throughout Indonesia for most beautiful, harmonious singing. And we've been able to capture these songs, as well as their stories, as a testimony of their faith in God, and also as a vehicle for them to express their grief and to look to God in the midst of the pain. So I know that as people are going to hear this music and as they hear these testimonies, that they really are going to be challenged in their faith and inspired to follow in the footsteps of the people of Maluku. It was at a training meeting for 18 refugee pastors that we happened to ask, "Do you know any songs about what happened in Maluku?" Those who did began to teach those who didn't, and within an hour we had recorded this song. The singers are some of the spiritual leaders of Maluku. Please pray for them as they seek to lead their people in what it means to be the people of God, without the security and traditions of what used to be known as church.
beda suku dengan agama, orang jadi makalah esio. Mari torang angkat sumpah